Test, test. Okay, we got 1 minute. All right, let's go ahead and get ready and go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Hey, Alan, you want to do our prayer for us? Would you? Thank you.
Join me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening. Thank you for the change of weather. We thank you for the recovery from the freezes and how it has affected so many. We want to lift up our country now in this situation in the Middle East, that you'll protect our service people who are involved, give our president and his staff the wisdom they need. We ask for protection for Israel and the people of Israel and those in the surrounding areas. We ask for counsel tonight that would give the council members wisdom, knowledge, and direction for the needs that need to be met in our town. And we ask this and commit this to your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Rubio,
Present.
Councilmember Roberts,
Here.
Councilmember Morganelli,
Here.
Vice Mayor Womack,
Here.
Mayor Wanku.
Here. All righty, keep going. Follow up on regarding the Fosgate Road sidewalk project. You want to give us a heads up on that?
Sure. I'm going to have Iman flip on a map here real quick. I put a couple maps in your packet. Oops, give us 1 second there. And if I could steal the mouse, I'll try to use the mouse to show locations. So if you can see the mouse up there, we have an existing sidewalk. This is just recapping from the last conversation. Going down Fosgate Road, which is a county sidewalk, a county road. They really don't maintain it. We have a existing sidewalk that goes from here around Mag Terrace. So we have a missing link in this section of Fosgate and this section of Ridgewood from here to here. Then we have a missing link from here to here. Then once that link is in, we now have the new sidewalk that we put in last year goes from this section. So if you know, I'm on Florence View and Lake right there. So this is in place now. The development at Montverde Estates, they're going to finish this link of sidewalk through here and a link of sidewalk through here. And in our capital improvement plan with our grant money, there's sidewalk that will go from here to here. And I'm just kind of doing a big recap, which is down Lake Street to Ridgewood. And we are working hopefully with the school to continue a trail / sidewalk, probably a trail from here over to Porter, which would connect to our existing trail system. So what I'm bringing back to you is this section of sidewalk here. When we worked out the agreement a couple years ago, 1, 2, 3 years ago with Montverde Estates, they have funded $100,000 to the town to build this section of sidewalk. And we do have money in our impact fee fund to do the rest of these sections if the council would like to do these last couple connection sections through here. The advantage of really connecting this sidewalk now that county has finished the Fosgate Road in front of Willow Ridge, if we had connection to our community up to this area, they can get to the trail, whether they you know, I'm looking at a wider sidewalk, probably in the 6 to 8 foot neighborhood if we can get it in there. But they can now get up, our community can now get up to the trail to get over to Mineola, to the hospital, to the restaurants and things if they wanted to, you know, skateboard, ride a bike, or walk. We have a lot of people that do walk several miles a day. So just bringing that back to you as an update. As I mentioned, the council, I've been talking with the Roberts family. There's a couple places that would make the sidewalk easier just because of utility poles if we can get an easement. We're still having a couple discussions on that. We could probably still make it work without it, just would make it a lot easier if we had a couple easements where we can get around those poles. I'm hoping we'll get there. I think they're amenable. I did, after the last conversation, I had our consulting firm look back in. This is the little section of right-of-way that's back here that we discussed. And the annexation goes, you know, decades back when this was annexed. And after Parks Consulting did some research and got a hold of the county, when the city annexed this in, they never followed up, you know, 40, 50 years, whenever this was, years ago, and never did an assignment over from the county of that right-of-way. So that is still a county right-of-way. So Mr. Roberts, if he wants to get rid of that, he needs to go through the county process to get through that, through the vacate process through Lake County. So the town won't be involved in that process at all. So it kind of brings back to this section of sidewalk. It's budgeted, and so are the other sections. So the questions are, do you want to move forward with those sections of sidewalk? If so, I'm also going to request, last time when we did the bids for the library, we had 2 vendors we used, local from Mineola, which is South Lake Loader Company. They gave me a price which is phenomenal to put this in. This section from here to here was about $85,000, not including survey, of course. Using just a local vendor that we know that can do it versus I would spend almost as much putting these plans together and designing, engineering, and putting it out the bid versus if we can keep it under the bid limits and use a local vendor. It's almost right at the edge of the authority. I could do it anyway by just getting some cost estimates put there, but if we do the other sections, then the council would need to say it's okay to utilize them. So just general, that was big overview. I can get more detail and answer questions, but I thought I would just stop there and see what everybody thinks and wants to discuss further.
Did I get that right? 100,000 in funding is what we have now?
Yeah, so we have 100,000 that was given to us by a developer to put that sidewalk in, which was from the hills of Montverde, which is in the county. So we have that actually sitting in our capital improvement plan. Then we also have money budgeted in our impact fee funds that we can use for sidewalks as well.
So we have the funding to do the
We have the
all of
funding in there, and it doesn't come out of general fund. It'll all come out of the capital program.
Good deal. Thank you.
Do we have a number on that, the rest of it?
Yeah, to do all sections, if we don't have to go out and put engineering plans and do the whole bid, about 200,000 to put all that in.
So that's 200 in addition to the one, or
200 total. So 100 for each section. And you know, generally the county will, all these are on county roads. They will have to work with us, you know, to kind of get the permits and everything like that. So there'll be some collaboration. So basically, they have a set spec that we follow and use. You know, that spec includes, you know, ADA, you can't have side slopes more than 2%. They don't want anything more than 1.5%, just so they stay within the tolerance. And they want the existing grade to follow the existing grade, so there's no stormwater issues, so water can flow over the sidewalk, things along that line. So,
Can you go over by the roundabout?
sure. This way?
Yeah. Okay, now, where's the new sidewalk we put in? Back onto the left?
Yeah, so currently there's a sidewalk that goes from right here to the roundabout, and I believe it comes to, oops, sorry, I went the wrong way. let's go to the roundabout. Okay, so the new sidewalk is from this intersection here. I think you could almost see it in there, right there maybe. Yeah, so it runs from there, runs around the roundabout, and you could see it, and it dead ends.
But that's not the new sidewalk. I'm saying about by Lake Street. I'm sorry, I didn't point that out.
Oh, that will be put in?
Yeah, the one we just put in. So what,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, on Ridgewood.
yeah,
Okay, so we put in from this point here
right.
up to and connect it to the Mag Terrace sidewalks with crosswalks.
So if we go from where we stopped at Lake Street, I understood we were gonna go down Lake Street and then over Highland and into town
Yes,
from there,
yeah.
right?
And that portion will be a part of the grant fund stormwater portion of it. We have that built into that project.
So if we get it all, the 200, we'll bring it to the roundabout? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, so the 200 will be for this section that's between Florence View and, Florence View and Florence View, I guess, if I'm looking at that, from the two Mag Terrace entrances. And it will be from right here. There's a sidewalk that actually goes from here to here. It'll be from basically the finish Ridgewood, then up to Fosgate to right here, to the end right here.
Right, so if you go back to Mag Terrace area,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna have sidewalks on both sides of the road?
Just one side. Right now, the sidewalk, there's no sidewalk between the two entrances. So if you want it to stay, if we do this section and want to stay on sidewalks, you would have to circle Mag Terrace. So if you put a sidewalk here, you would bypass Mag Terrace. This section is what we just put in here
So we're not gonna finish the other section on 455?
on 455.
In between, the two ins and outs from Mag Terrace?
On Ridgewood?
I'm sorry, yeah, Ridgewood.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We part of that, we would finish a section from here to here. It just needs to be on one side of the road.
On the north side.
Whatever side the county tells us we can put it on. The county's gonna dictate that to us.
So we put the new sidewalk in, and that was 60 grand, right?
Correct.
Not knowing where the county was gonna tell us to put the sidewalk on, in that section?
Yeah, more than likely it will go on this side, but if it does, it could cross, and it will cross on somewhere there's gonna have to be a cross. And likely if it will either be here and come across here. I think there's more right of way right in here. So it'll probably extend this way, then cross right here. The cross is already in place.
Yeah, it seems it would make sense to do the south side of Ridgewood all the way down to Lake and then down Lake. That side, where your arrow is.
Yeah, there will be one cross in it somewhere, and it really just depends on what the county says about the stormwater and what they want to do, where the pipes are. So I think on that section, either side would probably work from looking at it. But ultimately, the county's the one's going to probably have to dictate that section to us.
So we're gonna walk in the street down Lake Street, walk in the street down Highland, and get to 455 and to go into town. There's no sidewalk.
No. So Lake and Highland's going to get done next year with the grant projects.
And 455 probably get done.
And 455 is going to get done with the grant projects. Plus the school, when we put the stormwater here, we're going to have a trail on this backside that'll connect to the trail. So there will kind of be a loop almost around the school.
Yeah, because there's already sidewalks where the school is.
Correct.
So
Just the only place that doesn't have one is in this little section right here. But that'll be taken care of too when we do the road project and stormwater project.
Yeah.
Yep. Kind of pieces of the puzzle.
Can you go back down Fosgate a little bit there?
Mhm.
Nope, I'm sorry, where Mag Terrace is.
Ridgewood?
Thank you, yes, sorry,
Mhm.
yes. Concern for me that I have right here is safety, is we're looking at having all these different areas to cross over without knowing where the
Could you,
county's
I'm
gonna,
sorry.
without knowing where the county's gonna have us to do it. I think we need to look at where they're gonna have us cross over before we do that, because I don't think crossing down towards the bottom of Ridgewood is a safe place for crossing.
There's already two crosses right there. There's sidewalks that connect both neighborhoods with crosswalks in place in both
Well,
places.
I get that, I'm just, if we're gonna have it, I mean. all
Yeah,
right.
the safest place to cross is actually this one versus this one. At least when I walk, I have more trouble seeing the people speeding around the hill here than looking straight down this direction.
That's,
But
yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
mentioning, yeah.
but there are crosses. The residents of Magterra circle all the time through that.
So if we look at doing this, this is sort of going to kill any idea of doing a trail then.
What's that?
This is going to kill any idea of a trail in our town because we're not going to be able to connect to it then over near Mineola. If we do a sidewalk there, you're not going to have a trail.
Yeah, I don't think the word kill it is. A trail is kind of a whole different creature. So yeah, if they decide to ever do the trail and come into town to do a trail, then you're going to be purchasing right away to do a trail. The county trail standards just aren't going to allow trails kind of through the urban areas that close to the roads. Right now, the county's trail standard's 14 foot. I mean, obviously, I guess we could do our own standard if we want to. The trail standard is 14 foot, which means you're probably looking at 25 foot of right of way that you'd have to have, plus some road separation, depending on what the grades are, but probably about 25 foot total.
I mean, my feeling is I think we needed to connect where Mineola is over to Ridgewood and Fosgate. And then from there, I think we need to involve our residents to sort of decide, do we want a trail through our town? Do we want the trail then, two questions at that point. Do we want the trail to go to downtown or do we want it to go out straight Fosgate? I mean, because once we do a sidewalk there, I get you're saying we could always come back to it. We never will. I mean, it's the reality of it. We just won't.
I mean, the reality is the funding to put a trail through Montverde with a right-of-way purchase, it will be decades. Now, I think we could get funding on the piece that goes up 455 up to Ferndale, because it would be easier to get right-of-way just along some of that county areas, and there's some other properties that we can go on the back side of. And kind of, if you could, let me show this to everybody real quick. We'll probably stick this. Could you type Lake County Parks? Yeah. I agree. Sorry, I'll see if I could see all this stuff here. So this is Lake County's master trail plan that probably has been here for 20 years, maybe longer. The master trail plan, they've been updating it for years.
Can you show where Mount Verde is real quick?
Sure. Yeah, before I do that real quick, this is what's existing of that plan. So there's a lot of cogs to the puzzle. So let me show you the master. Hang on, gotta find Montverde here. You guys got a bigger screen. Let me know if my mouse is close here. Am I getting close? Okay. So that's kind of the master plan for Lake County when they get funding. And this funding is going to come through the MPO is likely where it's going to have to come just because the sheer volume of it. And that's what we have.
That's what's done right now. Back up a little from the picture, make it higher. See how far away they are from us?
Yeah, I really, there's a good chance at some point, and actually the state put a counter out there. There's a good chance at some point in the future we could get this section from here. Actually, the trail comes across right here now. That's a new section that's added. But there's a good chance at some point we can focus on this section and get this funded because it's more of a high priority area. Where this section here would be just the sheer amount of right-of-way, just because when you're getting to, third acre lots, half acre lots, and the frontage and stuff, just obtaining right-of-way through there is just going to be tough. I mean, just the millions are going to start adding up really quickly versus when you get into rural areas, it's a little bit, houses are further back from the road, there's larger lots, 5 acre lots, going through Ferndale. There's going to be a better shot of the county getting right-of-ways on that.
So the takeaway is we only affect that little square there.
Yeah. Yeah, we're still a ways.
455 Fosgate and 455 in Ridgewood.
But kind of
Everything's far away.
far away. Yep. the thought process is, we need, if the council's goal is to get connected town through trails, and when we were looking at this, we did have some both positive. It's kind of one of those things that's probably split down the town, positive, negative. Trails will bring lots of people riding their bikes through town. People complain about the bikes a lot. It also could bring more people with more issues. We don't have the law enforcement, but it also does open up your business district and, gives us a recreation. There's a lot of positives too. But really at this point, just for the small amount of funding it would take, where trails, would be getting it in that section would obviously be in the millions probably with right-of-way purchases we would need. This lease gives our opportunity for our residents to get from our urban areas to the trail so they can access the trail. Because once you get to Ridgewood, you're on 20 plus miles of connected trails now. You can go to Winter Garden, you can go to Claremont, you can go to Mineola, and soon to open the next couple months, there's going to be you can now go around a complete circle around Lake Apopka, going through Mineola. They're finishing the last piece in Apopka area right now. In that little section we just finished north of Ferndale, protection area is complete. So now there's a complete circle around Lake Apopka. So we have an opportunity, at least at this point, with the limited funds we have, to get access to the trail and keep our residents off the road if they want to be. My goal would be to put the widest sidewalk possible in there. If we can get an 8-foot sidewalk, we can do an 8-foot sidewalk.
The trail's finished on the other side of Fosgate, and it's not highlighted.
Yeah, they haven't updated the map. It'll probably be this next year. There'll be an update. That's
So
correct.
it brings it down to that square right there.
Yeah.
Triangle.
Yep.
Yeah, that section.
Yeah, so it's right here right now.
So right now, people, for instance, in Willow Ridge could go out, go down to Fosgate, go over to Publix.
Correct.
No problem.
Correct.
And where could they go once they get to Publix?
Once you could go to Publix, you can go to Winter Garden. You can go to Claremont.
Where is Publix on that map? Right there where it comes off, right? Right there on the right.
Yeah.
Where it ends on the right.
Right here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
right there.
you're right.
Right
So
around
this is
there.
connected right here, so Publix is probably
So
right
right
here.
now, you could go all the way, the trail's already there, you could keep
Correct.
going.
You can keep
So you
going.
can go up to Hancock and come all the way down Hancock, because they built Hancock with a trail.
Yep. And I am talking with the county, and I think we have a good chance. I'm actually having a discussion later this month. This little section of trail, we got the trail to nowhere that's kind of on the backside of Bella Collina, now on the front of Willow Ridge. That kind of dead ends at the bridge, and I'm talking to them about finishing that section of trail. They've been talking to the subdivision there. It's at the corner. It's going to come to me. The one with the pretty rock.
Verde Ridge?
No,
that it?
keep going down. Hills of, someone knows it.
Highland Ranch.
Highland Ranch. They've been already started the conversation about Highland Ranch, about getting some easements through their homeowners association, so maybe we can get that trail section done. So I'm hoping I'll be working on that over the next few months, and hopefully could get some more updated information for council. So if that happens, what's nice about that, lost my mouse here. There we go. This is finished here. We're talking about bringing the sidewalk from here. That will give our residents an option of hopefully coming down this way and heading into Claremont, or going down this way heading into Mineola quickly.
But Clearmont has to want to do that section, right?
Correct. And there are bike lanes through Highland Ranch, and of course you already got the trail on Highway 50. But actually, it is a county road through there still. I don't believe that's a Claremont Road right there. I think it's still a county road.
Does old Highway 50 have a trail right there where Black still hits it?
It does.
It goes left, goes towards
Yeah.
455?
It does.
I don't remember.
Yeah, you can. I took my bike from Willow Ridge and rode to that trail right there at the
yeah.
corner, and you can ride all the way to the hospital, to South Lake Hospital, and on down. Then it goes the other direction as well, where you can go into Winter Garden.
So right now, the people in Willow Ridge would have to go over the turnpike on Fosgate, come down Hancock, and come down Old 50,
Correct.
and go to Winter Garden that way.
Correct.
So there's a pretty long trail there right now.
There is. There's a lot of trail nearby. Our issue, we as residents, we don't have any way, which I use the trails a lot. We don't have any way to access them without walking or driving on the road or taking our car to them.
Well, we're depending on Clearmont to do that one and Mineola to do the other one, right?
Well, Mineola one's already done, and the section through Claremont would actually be Lake County that would do it. It's a county road, and yeah. Sorry, I don't know where we're at here. There we go.
I have one more question, I guess. We're looking at doing the sidewalks there, then can we do it with the land that we have?
That's the whole intent, is to put it in the right of way. As much, yeah, we have enough right of way through there where we can put a sidewalk in.
Again, my concern is we're going to vote on it and then you're going to come back to us and say, hey, we need to do something different with the space.
Yeah, if we can't do it in the right of way and no one voluntarily gives us an easement, we're not gonna be able to do it, so. But there's still, when you really zoom in and take a look at it, there is quite a bit of right of way through here. The question is, you know, I know we can get a 6 foot. Is there areas we can get an 8 foot sidewalk?
Can you keep going
Mhm.
to the end?
Yep. So the one area we got an issue, which I'm talking to Mr. Roberts about, is right here, because there's a telephone pole that sits here and a telephone pole that sits there. So we might be able to work with the electric company to move those 2 telephone poles. And it seems like sorry, my mouse is just jumping. It seems like maybe right here somewhere there might be an issue. I think there's like 3 real pinch spots, but other than that, it's not too bad where we can get it through. Maybe that's the last pinch spot right there. But yeah, otherwise, I think we got enough right of way to do it there. And you can see there's the existing sidewalk.
Okay, that it on the sidewalks?
Yeah, just looking for direction if you want to move forward.
Well, I had a few questions. How deep is the right of way in Ridgewood and then Fosgate from the road? How many feet?
I mean, it varies in different spots. Probably on average, maybe 15-ish, maybe 12, some areas.
And that's the same both on Ridgewood and also Fosgate.
Yeah, Ridgewood has a little bit more. Depends on where you're at on Ridgewood. So, you know, where from the edge of the road to here, it gets a little bit bigger. So, you know, obviously we got to leave a gap between the road and there. So, you know, your sidewalk would kind of scoot down the middle here. We want to try to avoid trees if we can. When you get in front of that little section on Mag Terrace, obviously you got a lot more right of way to work through right here, because they actually set that right of way for future sidewalks. Was a requirement when that was done, probably from the county back in the day. I mean, and I asked, just to give you some perspective, we put that sidewalk in this section here, and I did ask the county if we could put a wider 8 foot sidewalk, and they wouldn't let me go above 6, and really because you're back down to that whole ADA thing you get into, and they don't want to mess with the grades. Once you start messing with the grades of the water, you know, they want the water to go over the sidewalks and not have to deal with putting whistles in or anything along that line, culverts and stuff. So, but for sure, I don't see any issue getting a 6 foot sidewalk in. I'm gonna do my best to, you know, an 8 foot wide walk is really nice. That's what we have right behind here. Everybody seems to love it. It's kind of that in between. It's not a trail, and it's but it's still big enough you could ride a bike, or 3 people can walk side by side with a dog, kind of thing.
So here in Ridgewood, obviously, if the sidewalk is right in the middle between the road and obviously the edge of the right of way. There's plenty of room there. But when you get a Fosgate, it's not as much.
It's tighter.
Right away, so it's tighter. How close is the sidewalk going to be to the road?
The county would probably dictate that. I mean, it's probably gonna have to be at least 4 to 5 feet minimum. So basically, the sidewalk will go right up on the edge of the property line. We will hug the fence line as much as we can. It'll be on the fence line.
Now, Ridgewood is a main road, which I assume that's why there's more right of way. Is that not the case for Fosgate? Is it considered something else?
Usually the right of way, they've learned when development happens to ask for right of way, and not much development has happened on this section of Fosgate except for the back here, and the county just wasn't thinking sidewalks back in when a lot of things were annexed in the day or developed in the day. You know, now, you know, like if you look at what happened to Willow Ridge, when you get over here to Willow Ridge, because this was all the county asked. You know, they asked for not only a lot of right of way, they made them put the trail in, and so you could see the amount of right of way that you picked up. through there. So it's really something that cities and counties now have gotten like, okay, if we're going to develop, it's going to increase traffic, increase pedestrians. The developers now need to help offset that by giving right of way for those things to occur.
And so if the comp plan dictates for some, or calls for a certain amount of feet, then I guess how does that get factored into this section on Fosgate where obviously it hasn't been developed and it's, obviously still with the minimum, I guess, amount of feet for the right of way, like, so I guess like when does a comp plan like come into play then? Because when I was looking at it, it categorizes it based on what type of road, if it's a collector road.
Correct.
Let's see. Obviously, if it's a county road. And then on top of that, it calls for a setback from the right of way. So I guess like how would that conflict here? How would that look with the Fosgate section?
Yeah, so really it's going to be the Lake County Engineering Department that's going to give us, it still is going to be their road, their, I guess, liability. And so we have to do a right-of-way utilization permit, which we have to do when we put that sidewalk in. So we're going to go off their just design standard. So if they say it can't be done, then without more right-of-way, then it won't be able to be done. But talking with them in the past, they realize that a lot of county roads are now in urban areas, and the speed limits have dropped in those areas. On a 30-mile-an-hour road is a lot different than the 45-mile-an-hour road. The worst case scenario, they do allow sidewalks. Like if you go to the end of Willow Ridge, they allow the trail and sidewalk right up to the road, but when you get to a certain speed, now you got to put a curb in, and that's that barrier for the pedestrian. So it's going to kind of be a little bit based on the speed limit, based on the road conditions there, and I want to make sure we as a community and council, you're okay with doing that before. I don't want to waste county's time because I know they're just so behind on stuff. I just want to say, here's our plan. This is what we'd like to do. Can you help us get it done? And when we did the sidewalk on that section on Ridgewood, they actually gave us the spec and design and said, here you go. You turn this in on your right-of-way utilization permit. This is what we'll allow you to do. And they were good to work with.
And so what I hear also is that we kind of can't really do a trail. It's because it involves the cost for the additional right-of-way for the trail.
Yeah, the issue with the trail, obviously the ground's not even as you go through the area. So the trail would just cost a lot more. So a normal trail width is 14 foot now. That's the county standard. There's obviously some 10s and some 12s out there, so you could reduce, you don't have the right of way, but even a 10, if you're looking at, 15 foot of right of way in there, it doesn't give you a lot of room to do this. And what you can't do is just, have your trail up from the road like this and dirt rolling down on it. Now, if you did a typical curb and gutter section on that, but on the backside of Fosgate, you'd probably have to build some walls to hold the trail up. It would literally just be, road, curb, trail, kind of a wall on some sections, and right up to the fence, not including what utilities are in there. Or smaller, you can work a little bit around it.
So it's not impossible. It's just really, really hard.
Well, it's hard and expense. It's just it's kind of like you got the bang for the buck kind of thing. You just gotta consider that. Your typical sidewalks used to be 4. Our town minimum is now 6, which everybody likes. I really becoming more of a fan of these 8-foot wide walks on one side, just because it gives you that extra room for your dog and 2 people to walk side by side and still pass somebody. So, wherever you can get an 8-foot wide walk, and that's kind of like that in between. You could still ride your bicycle on it. You could still get there if we can get an 8-foot wide walk in. That would be my goal if we could do that. And doesn't mean all sections have to have the same section or with the trails. We could try to put 8 where we can, 6 where we can't, and kind of go from there too. You can just downsize the trail.
The one currently
sidewalk.
on Ridgewood, past Mag Terrace and before Lake, how wide is that one?
It's 6.
6, okay.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, the only 8-foot one we have is right here behind Town Hall, where I did the connection through the park.
And so when the county reviews this, they could shoot down the 8 down to 6, and then they could also say that we may not have enough right of way, or.
Yeah, just from early conversations with them, they're going to do their best to work with us to get some sidewalk in. It's just the width is going to be the question. The width would be the question. Ideally, yeah, it would be nice to get a trail in there. In the past, You know, there's just so many wetlands in the area. You know, in the past, we looked at maybe even coming down here and coming around the backside and bringing it over here, but that's kind of out of the picture now, just with, you know, having initial conversations with the wetlands and neighbors' concerns in there. And even the golf course, they were concerned. So, you know, I was looking at something that would go back there, but it really couldn't get it done. There might be a greater possibility for the town. The more logical in the future is, and this is in that master plan too, is to get the trail that eventually comes down and hooks to the Killarney Trail to come through town, just because there is a lot of right of way when you got here. And if we put this little trail section back here, excuse me, not back there, where the school's at, on that backside right here, there may be some opportunities here in the future to get the trail from Killarney down 455 all the way through 455. Then we would just have urban sidewalk connections to the trail. And that is a part of the master plan too, eventually.
And then time-wise, from the time that I guess the contractor is hired to do it, how long would it take to do Fosgate and Ridgewood?
If everybody's okay with that, my goal would be to have it, let's see, probably by June. We can get it done by June. If I can get the county to sign off on everything quickly. If not, it'll be in the fall.
And then on Fosgate, where that little fork is for the entrance.
Sorry, let me get my bearings here.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now, well, I guess that one as well. Or actually, no, the one further down.
This here. Sorry, let me zoom out just a little bit. Where at? Right here?
Oh, actually, no. Well, yeah, I guess the other one. The other one's dirt, right? Where the Y is at the other entrance, further north, where you first started.
Oh, back here?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's the end of the county sidewalk. I think that's just a 4-foot sidewalk, by the way. Just FYI. Then we're going down Fosgate.
Yeah, so that's dirt.
Yeah, this is just right away, dirt right away here. Correct.
What I mean is the entrance to the nursery.
Oh, to the nursery
yeah,
here?
I think there's two. There's one closer over there to Ridgewood.
Yeah,
there's one
yeah.
further down somewhere around there.
I don't think it has a Y. It's just a straight entrance there
Okay.
on that one. That one's really not a.
How would
not
that
an-
work with the transition from concrete sidewalk to dirt, and then?
Yeah, so anywhere a sidewalk crosses over a driveway, we thicken the sidewalk to 6 inches and put wire in it. And so it still would be on the grade. If for some reason we need to increase the grade, which you have to do on driveways sometimes, you could maintain the grade and just put a ramp on both sides of the driveway entrances if it was needed. But ideally, we'd probably just work on maintaining the grades there.
Also, for the house, we had to do a driveway permit, so we'll be doing an asphalt driveway on that
Okay.
driveway as well.
So it'll go from driveway to the sidewalk through there.
Could you follow that? Oh, sorry, can you follow? No, never mind, I see it there. I'm good. I was just trying to figure out where that easement went. But
Right here?
yeah,
Mhm.
thank you. That answered my question. No.
All right, anybody else have any more questions?
I have one actual one here. So a month ago, we were here and we discussed this, and it was in reference to giving up that easement
Correct.
for extra land.
Correct.
Remember? Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, I thought you were asking me, Carol.
Yeah, and it was giving the easements in areas where we need them for get around the poles and things like that. So,
Well, right, but it was going to get rid of,
correct.
we're going to get rid of that whole easement there. All right, so my question I have is, you're saying we don't need that, we don't need to do that now again? Because
Well,
we
I
do
still
this.
would like the easements. I'm going to push, hopefully, Mr. Roberts to give us those easements if he's willing to. So it would make it easier and cheaper, more fun. They would keep the sidewalk further away from the road. The places where we need the easements, it gets the sidewalk really close to the road. So I would either have to shrink the sidewalk down or move telephone poles.
So the plan still is to get rid of that easement and give that,
I don't know what the plan is with, it's his plan to do with it's up to Lake County now what they want to do that. So I assume he's going to probably go to Lake County and do that.
and we're talking about that one right there, okay.
Yeah, this
So-
here, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's not a town easement.
It is not. Whenever they did the annexation, the city just didn't follow through and doing the next step of acquiring the right-of-way between the two right-of-ways for whatever reason.
So the town doesn't have any interest in that easement, any agreements?
We do not. Do not. So Sean went back and went to the county, and the county still claims it, shows it on their books as their right-of-way through there.
Okay, because there's an ordinance, it's 2002-01, I believe, where Montverde, I guess, accepts it as a utility easement of some sort. Was that?
On this
or is
particular,
Is that not the case, or?
as far as I know, I don't think there's I'd have to look at your resolution. And we don't have any utilities in there. And I guess I'm talking about ownership of the underlying parcel. So utility easements, the owner still owns the right and use of a land. We just have the right to put a utility under it, but I'm not sure if it's that particular. Yeah, because we don't have any utilities in there. Part of that goes through a wetland.
Yeah, because the ordinance is, I guess, titled Town of Montverde Utility Service District. It was recorded back in 2002. So the town doesn't own it, but has the right to use it for utilities. But then how would that be extinguished? I assume the county can't extinguish it on our behalf.
Sure,
I think you're referring to the utility service boundary area that the town created to say this is the expanse of where we'll run utilities. It doesn't give us an easement to do it. It just declares to other local governments that this is our area and we'll provide utilities within it.
It's the 180.
Yeah, grab her another mic.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
under Chapter 180 of Florida statutes.
Ooh. Bad mic. So yeah, that's what we like for Apopka Sound. That's how we provide utility to those. So in anything with that 180 district, so it goes to the Orange County line, up to the Ferndale line, Lake Apopka, and up to the Turnpike. So anywhere within there, if someone develops, we have the right to provide and offer utilities within that area
And services.
and services. Correct. Yeah, we have a lot of overlays. We have our ISBAs, we have our 180 service district. We're getting ready to do a JPA, and seems like there's also one other overlay we deal with with different areas where who does what. And we also have to look at the other cities 180 so they don't overlap in ISBAs and JPAs. But even if there is an easement, the easement would still run with the new owner of a land, just similar to like when you sell a house and, you know, we have utility easements in the front yard. You get rid of the ownership of the house, but the easements still run with the land forever and ever until we extinguish them. So yeah, I'm looking for direction from the council if you want to move forward with putting these sections of sidewalks in so I can start getting the planning and stuff moving on that.
Okay. My last question. We can do it as is. Like, we don't need easements. We can. That's what I keep coming back to. I'm trying to understand that. Like, my vote tonight is based on what you're going to tell me, and that is that we need easements to do it, or we don't need easements to do it.
The only sections that are unclear are about 3 sections in front of Mr. Roberts' property that runs over here from the ag pieces where the poles are. I'm hoping we'll get them from him. Conversations have been going well. I think we will. But if we don't, then I'll have to move the utility poles, which I should be able to still do within that budget to work. So we can make it work. I mean, the sidewalk may need to shrink in those areas a little bit too to make it work. That would be the other option, that we shrink down the sidewalk from the 6 to a 4 to get around the utility poles, and it still gets in. Then we have to come back and clean that up later.
So you're having discussions with the power company?
No, not yet, with Mr. Roberts.
Okay, thank you.
So
All right.
he's been amenable to work with. So I mean, it's not a whole lot of easement. It's just to get around a couple utility poles. So it's not like it's not a massive amount, but you know, he does have some plantings there and some fence there, you know, and you know, that's obviously, you know, there's more than him that sits here. It's his families, and you know, they're all part of that. So they got to make that decision together. And if they do, they do. If not, we'll find a plan B to get around it.
We don't have, I guess the question is like, what are we giving Councilman Ross for those easements
At this point, nothing.
at this point?
As long as he does what he can to limit the amount of easement that he needs, we don't have any problem with him working around the poles.
Okay, thank you.
So you're looking for the council to say what you want us to?
Are you okay?
Next step is what?
The next step is, are you okay with me moving forward with
What do you mean by moving forward?
getting everything necessary to get the sidewalks in? Getting the, I guess,
So
putting the sidewalks
the
in.
sidewalks
Let's just
in.
putting the sidewalks in. Let's just
The
call
way
it
you
that.
described it.
Correct.
And that's 100K for Fosgate, and then maybe another 100K on Ridgewood.
Correct.
And then if so, it'll be completed sometime in the summer.
That would be the goal, pending Lake County getting
And
in
the
us.
utility, or,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, Lake County is the big unknown, so it just depends on how back up they are.
so the county and then the power company to move the poles, if they say no, then we have to work around it.
Correct. My first option would be hopefully to work with the Roberts family to go around the poles, so we don't have to touch the poles. That would be the cheapest way to do it. That we would just get an easement to go around the poles.
So that sidewalk would service Willow Ridge and Mac Terrace.
Willow Ridge and Mag Terrace, then eventually the entire town would have access to it once we get the next year when we do the rest of our sidewalk program with our stormwater projects.
Yeah. Yeah, but see, they're going downhill. We have to go uphill.
Eventually, if you go down, you go up, and if you go up, you go down. I've learned that walking. It's
I'm
bike
taking my
riding.
car around.
What goes up comes down.
And then the goal would be 8-foot wide sidewalks.
The goal would be 8. It's likely going to be 6, but I would do my best to get 8 in there. It's likely going to be a 6, but we would
And then
try to get
4
it.
around the poles.
If 4 around the poles, unless we get an easement around the poles.
I'm okay with it. I don't know how you guys feel with it.
Same.
We're not doing public comment, right?
No.
Okay.
Carol, what do you think of it?
Yeah, no, it's, the money is there. I like the idea of finishing it off and having connected sidewalks. Swing for the fence to get as wide as you can. Yep, and if something comes up with right of way, we'll deal with that at that time.
Joe?
I'm okay with it. Again, my concern is, like I said, the easement, which, you know, Councilor Roberts said, it's not gonna cost us anything to get that. How is this, I mean, if your fence, is there gonna be an issue with your fence for you?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a typical farm fence, so we would just have to, you know, scoot the farm fence back, you know. In some places, it's really not that much because the pole's kind of in the center, so there's still 4 foot of right of way. We might need to move the fence 5 feet, you know, in order to get a little bit of space to get around there. So it's not like we need a whole 12 foot or something to kind of get space on both sides of the sidewalks. It's the pole's just sitting right dead in the center of the grass area, and we just need a couple of feet to get around it.
And you're okay with that? That they're gonna move your fence?
Okay.
And then the cost will be on the town then, right, to move the
Oh,
fence?
correct.
so
Yes,
not the
correct.
landowner?
Correct.
What do you think about it, Grant?
Am I allowed to give direction on it? I mean,
Comment.
like I said, as long as we can limit the amount of easement that's needed to get around the poles, there shouldn't be any problem on our end.
What about
So,
the rest of the sidewalk? You okay
I'm
with
good
that?
with all that, yeah.
Okay, Brian? You okay with it?
Yeah, I'm on board.
Well, everybody likes it. All right, let's move on. How about we go to strategic plan review, and I understand we're gonna get a guided tour.
So council, we're going to jump over to this. Iman's going to actually lead the charge on kind of putting the strategic plan together. So she's going to do kind of, again, do a review of the highlight strategic plan. Then we're actually going to start talking. We're not going to do the whole thing tonight, but we're going to start talking about some of the elements in the first one and start getting some ideas put together. So, Iman, flip your mic on and.
Hello, my name is Iman Rashid. I'm the administrative assistant to Paul Reno, the town manager. Today we're going to be talking about the strategic plan for 2021 to 2026. So to start off with, what is a strategic plan? A strategic plan is a long-term roadmap that defines an organization's visions, mission, goals, and priorities, which is our towns, and outlines the actions and resources needed to achieve them over a specific time frame. It helps the town align priorities, allocate resources effectively, and make informed decisions that support sustainable growth and community needs. So to start off with, we have the goal, which is the great quality of life. It quotes to enhance the charm and aesthetics of a living small town, living by preserving the physical environment for town residents to interact with and by offering a multitude of community events. For a more detailed version is the objective for the great quality of life. It is to preserve the small town character and charm of Montverde, promote events and venues that encourage the citizens to interact with each other in an upbeat environment, increase the number of aesthetic amenities in Montverde's downtowns that include trash cans, lighting, sidewalks, and flower beds, improve the overall appearance of the downtown business area, provide excellent public safety to citizens by utilizing contractors and technology, provide quality fire and medical services to the citizens of Montverde. So to start off with, is there any changes, removals, anything you guys would want to change to just the regular quality of life goal?
Not me. You guys want to change anything?
And I'm sorry, Carol, could you pull that mic a little closer?
Don't work. You guys should try this.
Testing. This one works.
All right.
Sorry about that.
No. I'm starting to think, how loud have I got to talk to get into this thing? Okay, so there we go. All right. Aesthetics. I'm not a big fan of the use of the word aesthetics. If we're talking about enhancing our charm, and then when it goes to aesthetics, that's kind of a, I don't know, Disney-esque clinical term, I guess. If we could say charm and history, charm and pick an adjective. Yeah, I'm just not a big fan of aesthetics, but I don't care if it stays. Just throwing that out there.
Sure, we can throw that in. Just recalling back when we did this 5 years ago, I think there was some discussion just kind of the park area needed some improvements, and the fences were kind of in bad shape around the baseball field and things along that line, and they were like, we really would like to, it was mainly a focus, I guess, on the aesthetics of the area around town hall and also the downtown area, just making it, how do we make it look better and more inviting, I think was what they were looking for.
I think it's that side of the room, maybe. Yeah. Okay. I don't, like I said, I really don't have a, yeah. Just, yeah.
That's it. Grant, do you have any changes or suggestions?
No changes, but I mean, I definitely would like to highlight the appearance of the downtown. I think that's something that could definitely use a facelift.
And Iman was going to get to the next section here where there's objective goals, and I think that's really where we're now into those. So we want to keep this very broad and general, then we'll get into the objectives.
Brian, do you have something?
Well, the document that I provided Paul that I think is at the end of this PowerPoint, I mean, those are really my suggestions, and it's basically all of them, so I don't know.
Okay, to continue is the objective, which is a more set in stone, like more details kind of thing. And if you guys have any suggestions or anything to improve this, that would be great. Moving on.
Speak up. I didn't realize we were going to do this tonight, so I'm not prepared.
It's fine. I wasn't planning on necessarily going through the whole thing. Was going to try to maybe hit two of these. We can hit one of these. We can come back to it. It's up to council. It's that long range planning document, kind of the where are we going kind of thing that we want to revisit every 5 years.
Anybody have any suggestions for quality of life improvements?
Y'all want to think more and come back to it, or?
I'm going to echo what the mayor said. I really wasn't prepared for
Okay.
this one, for all of this tonight.
Yeah, I apologize. It's a good
That's
idea.
It's fine.
I'm just not prepared.
So if the council's okay, we can, now you kind of know what's coming at the next workshop. And you guys can kind of maybe think about that and, fill it in and
Good idea. Let's do that.
kind of go that way.
So you have more time to practice your studies.
Correct.
Alrighty, great.
And just FYI, we'll have this and next workshop, we're going to have to start talking budget. We're getting 6 months away from budget time again.
Great, all right. So what's left here? Council selects topics for continuing review. Weren't we going to do that last time? Weren't we going to do a couple things?
Yeah,
each?
I didn't receive any comments from any council members on any of the topics, so I just left it open. Someone wants to pick something out of the pile, we can go for it, or see if there's anything else you want to chat about.
Yeah, I will actually. The CRA. I was curious about that one because how are we going to do that if we get rid of property taxes? That's the CRA. Yeah, how do we do that if we get rid of property taxes?
Well,
That was a concern that when I saw that on there. I just thought, let's throw out the
Yeah.
big one, I guess.
Yeah. So one, I mean, obviously the just an update on that real quick. The House passed 80 to something votes for a complete elimination of property taxes. Right now, at this point, it doesn't look like it's coming out of the Senate. So they're going to have to do a special session. They're out of time to pull it out of the Senate. In fact, it seems the whole Florida legislators legislation has been dysfunctional as far as getting any legislation out there this year. I think it sounds like there may only be a dozen coming out, which is good. However, some of the stuff coming out is a lot of preemption for cities too. With that said, CRA, the question is so one, we don't know where we're going to be at, whether that's or not. Then the CRA would just be applicable in that case to non-homesteaded properties, which we looked, we're about high 60% homesteaded here, so you still have about 30% of properties that if we're in the CRA, you'd have some revenue in theory. You never know. It could be hot pockets in some areas. Any other questions on CRA while we're on the topic?
CRA would be interesting. I wouldn't mind talking about it again. That's something I like.
Is there a window, a time frame? I know at one point it was discussed about going away, and then I think it came back. Where's that now?
Yeah, so last year the legislation was moving forward, but it actually died in the Senate as well, so they didn't get anything approved related to CRA. As far as I know, unless you know something else, there's no pending legislation for anything to do with CRAs. So the town currently has it's not a plan. What is it? What did we do last time? The CRA study? The study,
A
right?
necessity, finding a necessity.
Yeah.
Study to show that you have blighted areas that meet the statutory criteria for creating a CRA.
So we got to the point of the study, and so we have that. Obviously, if you want to do anything else, we would have to update that study. There's a lot of advertisement requirements. Then the next step was to formulate a CRA plan. If you had the revenues, what would we use them for? And we were just getting started kind of on that conversation as we were going through that. And, just as a recap, you can use them for anything maintenance-wise, law enforcement-wise, in the CRA, anything within the CRA, streets, stormwater, parks, and downtown facades, improvements along that line too. So, you know, our main things, obviously, storm streets, sidewalks, playgrounds,
Right
parks,
now, but I'm
and
just
things along
asking
that
what
line.
we want to bring up on the next council meeting.
Correct. Yep.
Not to go through it right now.
Yep.
I'd like to bring up the CRA. You got anything?
Yeah, I got something that's not even on this list, but something that me and Paul talked about was term limits and potential seats for the council members and changing the amount of time that we serve. Maybe go from 2 to 4 years, or with 3 term limits, you know, capping out at 12, something in that line. But I think it's something that should be looked at.
Brian, do you have anything?
And real quick, does the council members want to talk about term limits on the next one? I need some topics. I'm just kind of guessing what you all want to talk about. Is that a good subject? 3 of you want to approach?
A resident brought that up actually at one point. I think he sort of shot it down, but I mean, I'm open to discussing.
I'm for it. I
Yeah.
obviously voiced it earlier last year.
Okay,
So
perfect. Thank you. I'll
I'm more than happy to talk about it.
CRA and term limits. Okay.
what I was going to ask is the website. I know it's been a topic for, I think, a little bit over a year at this point. Even I have issues, obviously, navigating the website, and I would say pretty familiar with it. I guess, like, when are we going to really, like, dig into either designing or giving you our input as to how the website, I guess, should look or feel? Like, for example, like, we could easily track the analytics of everyone who comes into the website, you know, where are they going, like what tabs are they going to, what are they looking at, how long they're staying on each page. I'm sure we could kind of refine it from there and build the website out to kind of accommodates that, because most of the people going on there are looking for minutes, the videos, obviously the immunity code, or, you know, anything related to that, or maybe some ordinances. So is there a way to, I guess, facilitate that to where...
Yeah, so in the background, we have been starting to work on that. We're actually going to switch over to another hosting company because we not getting the response we need, and it's been a little frustrating on our end. So Iman's actually been getting prices and is getting ready to sign up with a new hosting company to do that. I won't get into too much detail so we get all that finished, but we've been having a lot of back-end problems on that end. So we're going to start that process going through. Thursday, I believe Iman's... is it Thursday with the app thing? So we're close to getting the app signed up and moving, and we're also going to get the Facebook worked out. So the goal is we're going to, and it's going to take a little bit longer, but we kind of want to integrate the information on our app with what's going up on Facebook and what's going up on the website. So we'll probably have the app up and running quicker, but then we can start getting into the website a little bit more for what areas you guys want to see on it. Right now, my goal, the website, is once we get a person involved a little bit more, we can make things happen quicker. We want to fix all the dead links. There's just a lot of dead links. You click on a picture, something goes nowhere. So that's our priority, is make sure when you click on something, it goes somewhere and it goes to something, to the right information. So that's going to be our focus for the next couple months, to get that done, and we can start looking at what we need to add here and there.
So you had mentioned hosting provider. That's different than website.
I don't know the terms, but
Okay.
we're doing something to change what we're doing.
Are we? And then you said app though, so now you have 3 different things. You have
Yeah.
hosting provider, website, and app. So
Correct.
are we doing? I think, Carol, you had mentioned that. I can't remember the name of the company anymore. And I'm drawing a blank on this. Something like that. Yeah.
We're going with. You'll have to tell me.
It's called My Website Spot. It's like a different host, and it'll help me understand the website more, so I can work on that as well. But they'll be taking care
And
of that.
what's the
What'd you
app?
say it
What's
was? My website? What?
What is going on with my radios? Could you
For
flip
the
that
app
one
or
up
the
up there?
website?
The name of the company assisting.
My Website Spot.
My website.
Okay, we're gonna figure that out. Maybe it's that one. And then the app is go.gov. We're gonna be working with go.gov for the app.
Another one.
Howie in the Hills had a really, really good product. Did you guys look at that one? And I think it was Unicode. I think that's what it was.
No, they use Civics Plus.
Civic
and
Plus. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, Civics Plus is kind of a, they're not the most responsive. They host our Mooney code for us, but I've never been overly impressed with the service or they deal with a lot of bigger cities generally, and they really try to sell all their back-end software for everything. But I know a lot of larger cities do work with them.
Real quick with the CRA, I'm sorry, I know we're going to talk about it later, but is it possible, because I know that was such a controversial topic back then, and is it possible to put together like a one-page sheet for residents that maybe is the pros and the cons? So that way when they're looking at it, as council, we have a way of saying to them, hey, here's the good and the bad with it. And at the end of the day, we can at least explain it to residents maybe a little better and offer them, whether, again, the plus and the minuses to it. It just had a lot of different residents that were confused with everything. And I just think it would be nice to give them a simple one sheet for that.
One of the things that I did when we discussed this the first time around was I went to different CRAs and knocked on doors and asked people. And I did get a lot of people that said they were not happy when the whole thing started, but now they don't want to see it come to an end. So I would encourage those who aren't aware or don't know anybody, or talk to somebody that's actually in one or has been through one. That's what I did.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm all for bringing it back around for discussion.
So we got the CRA,
Term limits.
term limits, and the last one.
Oh, terms of office with term limits, I guess.
What was the third one?
Questions on the website,
Oh, quite the website.
which we are working on.
Alrighty, that's about it, right?
Well, you want to round it off to a nice even number?
Well, we only have 2 things for the next workshop, so and we will start the budget conversation, so that'll take a good hour for you guys. So, but yes, go ahead.
Well, just because we are approaching hurricane season, if we can go ahead and talk about the topic of emergency preparedness and resiliency planning.
Sure.
I do have one topic that it's not on the list, and I don't think is a topic to put on the agenda or another workshop, but it's more of a something that I guess noted. Last time we spoke, Paul, I asked about like policies and procedures, and it seems obviously before you there really wasn't a policy and procedure. Everything was kind of like word of mouth, like this employee is going to tell you what you need to do, and it's just the information stops there. And so is there a way to, I guess, on the back end, do actual policies and procedures for the different functions, like the clerk, obviously the town manager? And I know it's time consuming, but I look at it from the perspective that if we lose all our employees and we have to get new ones, what do we do? Where do we start? None of us, obviously do this for a living. So I was wondering if there's something maybe in the works in the future to kind of looking at that and putting those things in place.
You mean job descriptions?
Not necessarily a job description, it's just procedures. So, for example, I don't know, we get this permit. Somebody submitted a permit, these are the steps that you have to follow. It's in an actual procedure manual where if the person that is handling the permit is not there, and the town manager is not available, somebody could just easily refer to an actual manual and say, okay, well, we need X, Y, and Z. This falls into this category, so we need this additional, so it's just in the event that, we don't have Paul here, or in the event that we lose our clerk, or in the event, where we lose other employees that are critical.
Yeah, we do, the staff has, and even since I've been here, we have started SOPs. So when you were talking policies, I was on a whole different wavelength of, policies are kind of more immediate directives. So yeah, so SOP, standard operating procedure. So our staff has been working on putting those together as they go through, and they're more task related. The clerk, the Florida Clerks Association puts out a clerk handbook, policy handbook. It's that thick. So, I mean, there are so many job functions of a clerk. And so what I have our staff doing is for particular tasks, I have them start putting down checklists and SOPs of how to do those, the standard operating procedures. So, for with Caroline with the last election, I told her, okay, start getting a checklist, put it in the folder. The next election comes around, because now you've learned the stuff, you can follow those things through. Same thing, we do for different functions. So the critical functions, we're starting to do that, and some of those we do have in place on some of those tasks, and they'll continue to do that. We also have, with the exception of all of the finance functions, we cross-train a different staff member in almost every function here. So, we've lost staff in the past, but we have staff that can walk in when someone's on vacation. We have a staff member that could fill in, because they know how to run the department enough to keep it up going in the short term and stuff like that. So almost every position has at least one. Most of them have two people that can do a position for the different positions here. Just when you have a small staff, you have to, because you don't have an assistant, you don't have a backup. So that's really what we do, is we do a lot of cross training and back training, where that position has that, trains and learns that. Just as you saw Caroline kind of train Iman how to do minutes, eventually she'll probably take some of the meetings of planning and zoning meetings, so Caroline doesn't have to be here sometimes 3 times a week if we have 3 meetings in a week. So those are some of those things that we're doing. So yes, we'll be continue to work on those as we get time and as it allows to do that, especially the critical function ones. I agree with you.
Yeah, and then this kind of bleeds into the next topic, onboarding for council members. The town doesn't really have a formal onboarding. It's, obviously we had an hour meeting with our town council and Paul, and that was it. The rest is just figure it out, which I'm okay, because I've done enough research. I've actually gone through the land development code. I've gone through the comp plan, but even the comp plan, I didn't even have it. I didn't have the most up to date, and I couldn't find one online to save my life. And the one that I found was just incomplete. It was like a draft. And so, just to streamline the process for future council members that get on here that haven't, done this, it's a little easier for them to get a packet or an email with a bunch of documents. Hey, these are the things that you want to review, go over, and, establish a really good knowledge of it, other than just kind of figure it out. And I always look at that from the efficiency standpoint. So if we could streamline these things, great. If we're going to include term limits, I think it would be even more of an important issue to get to at some point, because you're going to be doing a lot more onboarding, I assume. So it's just, a little food for thought. It doesn't have to be in the agenda or anything, just me just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and just I'll play a little on my defense here. Gosh, I would say it was 3-4 years ago. I brought to a couple council meetings a draft council handbook. In fact, I think I may even gave it to Carol when she asked me a bunch of questions.
That needs to be resurrected.
I just said it's just a draft or whatever. It just at the time the council had so much stuff in front of it, it just never became a priority for them, just because of the topics we were starting to get into the sewer conversation, we were getting into the water conversation. So we do have some draft stuff. So that was the intent, to put which hopefully maybe that was helpful to you. So we could look at.
Be helpful to everybody. That needs to come back.
The thought was a draft council handbook. Then the Florida Municipal Association of Finance Directors, they actually have a book they put out for council members. Florida League of City has a little guidance book that you can put for attachments that helps you understand all those processes and things along that line too. So we can definitely start resurrecting that and take a look at it again and kind of go through that.
And then something else in regards to the elections. That was another thing that I had to figure out. I went to the Lake County Supervisor election. I actually did a walkthrough. They're more than welcoming if you want to do a walkthrough. They explained to me the process, but when it has to do with the municipal side of things, like everything stays at the town level. So they really kind of have not much, I guess, guidance on that. They just kept referring me back to the clerk. Obviously, there were some issues with some of the previous candidates. I believe Mike Stone didn't qualify for a technicality of some sort. So is there a way to put those procedures on the website? Like, this is what you're going to need. When you make that first payment, it has to come out of a campaign account. Well, what is defined as a campaign account? What definition are we running off of that? because most people think it's just, well, my name on the bank account. Well, not necessarily. Like, I had to file an EIN for a political committee party and then go to the bank. Not many banks wanted to do it. And so there was just, little things that I had to figure out along the way, so we could somehow put that on the website, because I'm a firm believer we should encourage the residents to want to do this. I think most residents, kind of hit a dead end when it comes to these things. Like, who do I ask? Who do I go to? And then if they do go to someone, they're being told 5 different things. So I think it's going to be better if it comes from us, the town. Here's a website. Here's, exactly the outline as to what you need to do if you want to qualify and run for, obviously, town council. So, something like that we could put together maybe before this, coming caucus. Because that was another thing, too, the caucus. There really wasn't any information as to how that runs. So I feel like that information is limited. So overall, it's just put the information out there. Hopefully more residents become intrigued and actually want to participate, and it makes it a little bit easier for like the next, I guess, people that actually get up here.
I mean, we could look at the application process and refer them to state statute. I'm a little hesitant about telling them what to do, because everything you do is really controlled by state statute or what's in the ordinance. So we can reference the sections they need to go to, but I want to be careful. I guess I'll have to kind of coordinate that with Anita. And I just definitely, we could take a look at it and see if there's something on the application process that at least refers people to where they need to go. But I think if I could, I want to take Mike Stone keeps getting brought up when it comes to permitting and this election thing. I kind of want to clear the air a little bit about that, because I think staff keeps getting wrapped up about this. Not saying you are doing anything negative on that, but every council member figure out how to qualify here, because if you're going to council, you have to understand things, processes, things, how to do. You qualified. It was figured out. But on the reverse end, Mike Stone, he showed up here at the end of the qualifying election, less than 15 minutes, 5 minutes before the door closed, with his paperwork incomplete. And our staff, just to be fair, went out of their way. It was incomplete, didn't have anything notarized. It was on a Friday. We didn't have a notary here. Caroline sat there, called one of our staff members to come into the office, 20-minute drive to come into the office, kept it open on her day off to notarize his paper. So we went out of our way to try to make the process fair and equal for Mr. Stone. He wasn't ready. He didn't do the research. Say what you want to say. I keep getting beat up all over the internet and, oh, you tried to do this and that. We went out of our way to make the process. And he didn't do the paperwork correctly, because when you do things at the last minute and you don't research it, he didn't fill out the checkbook correctly. He did have the improper checking account under state statute. And it wasn't my call. It wasn't the clerk's call. It was a legal call. We researched it. We did this. And the reality is he didn't qualify because of that. He's gotten up at meetings and complained about how long the permitting process took for his building over there. I can't tell you the amount of reviews that we did on that. That thing started, he turned in incomplete applications, wouldn't put a measurement for where this was, what that was, back and forth. I went on site multiple times as a town manager, which I shouldn't be doing, to help him get through the process. That didn't ever got brought up at the meeting. He started his building, his builder built it wrong, and they switched and did another building, had to re-engineer it in the middle of that process. So, I literally have a spreadsheet, and usually we run into these problems when people do their own builds. So I just kind of want to clear the air, because I know we keep using Mr. Stone as an example, but, Mr. Stone kind of brought some of this stuff on his own. And I think the town has gone out of his way. The fact I made multiple trips out there to help him get his building done should speak volumes, and he needs to speak that out loud too. Nothing against what you're saying. It seems like every couple of meetings we keep getting brought up about that. So.
Okay, so yeah, that's a good idea to put something together. Well, we did take it quite far 4 years ago to have a handout for a new council member, but we need to finish it.
Yeah, I think we do have some drafts, and let's bring that back. And I mean, it is a good idea, because it's a big task you guys have as a council. I mean, it really is, and it takes you a year or two to learn what you're doing.
P&Z needs that too, because I've watched people in P&Z, and they're lost, totally lost. They know that like one time they were, you had to vote, technically they don't have to vote if they don't want to, but they didn't know that. But they were being told they had to vote. And that was disturbing to me. But you're right. I would say P&Z needs it, and definitely the council needs it.
I think the council document and even P&Z documents are, they should be treated like a living document as well. As somebody new comes in, they're going to ask questions that maybe aren't in that book, and then we need to update the book. And that's something that they would ask you, obviously, or Anita, and at that point, we just need to keep that document updated, or the booklet, whatever you want to call it, updated, because I think that's tremendous for somebody that is coming up here. It's overwhelming at times.
Yeah, well, you could take this council here would be great at it because you got a few new members, that are going through it step by step. So you're fresh on your mind what you just went through and could help the next council people. And then you got the old guy like me that, whatever. But I think it'd be a good idea.
Yep.
It's a good idea, Brian.
And definitely the FLC conferences really are helpful. I think everybody's gone to them, gets a lot out of them. So
we wanted to put that on the next meeting, right? To talk about that. Is that what you're saying, Brian?
Not necessarily on the agenda, just more of a, throwing it out there.
I mean, in the workshops we can talk about it. Maybe.
yeah,
Sure.
yeah, I can bring it back, and I mean, like I said, I'll go through and update the draft and bring that back, and yeah, let's talk about. Because really, I think I sit over on this side of the table in essence, but I also need to say, you guys got to kind of tell me, I really need, this is what would be really helpful for me to know, and things, because my focus is, hey, liability, process, procedure, and you, like you said, you may, I may think you already know what a comp plan is, and you may not even know how to find a comp plan. So those are the things I really could hear from you guys. So I think it'd be good to go through it a little bit and say, let's add this, let's add that kind of thing. So.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Okay, great. So I think we're good, right? Everybody's okay? Want to talk about anything different? Carol, Joe?
I'm good.
Grant, Brian? Okay, we're all good. No, I guess that's it for tonight. Appreciate you all coming.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion, I second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Against, say nay. Ayes have it. You guys might want to look into some of these right here.